Good morning, everyone. How are we today? I hope we had a good weekend. I see there's quite a few of you in good humour this morning. So there is. Nipple hardening weather today, is it, Peter? There was some even funnier stuff further up the comments, folks. Ange, I'll be having a word with Aki's. None of that nonsense here, folks. And Dick Scratcher, welcome to the stream. Oh, I see this is going to be a funny weekend. A funny week, sorry. Aye, Ange. Aki's is in big trouble. Aki's naughty step, even though you were here well on time. And as I say, welcome to the new viewer, Dick Scratcher, who's probably one of yous lot having a bit of fun. The usual viewers, that is. But if not, welcome. Right, let's get this one underway. And they truck Davy out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is a beautiful morning, crisp, clear, cold, just as it should bloody be in November. About time. It's 2 degrees. Today's high will be 5. Tonight's low will be -3, I believe, which is good. Anyway, humidity is at 80%, wind speed 3 to 8 miles per hour, and the pollen count, Disney count, at 0. All right, let's have a wee look and see who's in the house. Maria, good morning. Mark Telford, good morning. Reagan Elite, good morning. You've given me a whole list. Stephen Leipson, Mark, Indy Scott, Brian, Doug Coakley, Graham Eason. Who else we got? Ange, Wee Bird, Last Braveheart, Scott Haynes, John Baxter, Margaret Mackay, Indy Duck Mel, Stephen Nichol, Austin for Indy, Lorraine's there, Robert's there, Scott, good morning Scott, Alan Arnott's in, Stephen Kelly's in, Jamie Dodger's in, Harry Bendick's in, busy show this morning. Right, if I've missed you, sorry, good morning everyone. Okay, first up this morning, we've got The Guardian. So let's get it up. I'm keen to get into this today. So I am. I'm keen to get into this one today. So what's The Guardian go for us? Let's get it up to a readable size. Most sweeping reforms to asylum rules in a generation to be unveiled. Now, folks, in these new rules and laws, there will be infringements on human rights. Now, the minute you say something like that, that's when hair should start standing up in the back of people's necks. And I mean that. They're going to redefine the human right of the right to a family life. But that's just a raft of measures. When you arrive in these shores, whether it be by irregular means, whatever the fuck that means, because there's no safe routes, or whether it be by irregular means, whatever that is, because there is no safe routes. When you're granted asylum, it will be reviewed every 2 years. You will then have to wait for 10 of those 2-year reviews to pass before you can apply to get the right to remain, become a citizen. So 20 years. 20 years. And here's the other thing. If within that 20 years of getting your asylum status renewed every 2 years, the Home Office has redefined the place where you fled from as safe, you're Joe the Toff back there. So let's say you've been here 16 years, 17 years. You've been able to work in our economy for 17 years, contribute to our society for 17 years. You might have started a business, got married, started a family. But 17 years in, the Home Office has reclassified the state you fled as safe. You're Joe the Toff. You're off ski. And they applying to the courts for the right to a family life. Pack up your business, pack up your family and get to fuck. Or just pack up and get to fuck yourself. Now, they're talking about infringing on the right to family life here, folks. They're already talking about splitting families up. No letting students bring family members and that with them. No letting postgrad students bring their family with them if they want to study here. These immigration measures are crippling the economy, the education sector, and some of the other measures that are going to be in here, and we'll get to in a minute, will actually cripple tourism and industry as well. Fucking stupid is as stupid does. But as I say, this is a red flag, folks. And I mean that, a red flag. When they start talking about messing with your human rights, then that's red flag territory. So it is. Next up, we'll get the Scotsman. What's the Scotsman got? Their answers are a cracker of the day, by the way, folks. In fact, there's a couple of them. Right, the Scotsman's got SNP, Labour pandering to reform vote. And this is on these new asylum rules as well. And that's the truth of it. And when you think about it, folks, and you really have to think about this, why is a man with 5 MPs getting so much airtime? Why is it a man with 5 MPs has got so much influence in our society? Why is it that man came to prominence in our society in the first fucking place? What made him so fucking unique that he had to be given all this press time? What was interesting about it was we just killed off the BNP. We just killed him off. No matter looking at that fucking ugly twat on the telly for the BNP. What was his name again? David and I were talking about him the other day. Anyway, Farage was his replacement. But for some reason, the state's decided that it wants to take away your human rights. And they're using this Farage as a tool to do it. I have absolutely no idea. And then we see them pandering to him. Why isn't no one why didn't Labour, when they came to power, ignore him? Just totally rubber him. Berate the press for giving him a airtime. Tell the truth. The economy's in shite state because of Mr. Farage. The small boats, like the riots, were Farage's. Why aren't the papers calling them Farage's boats? Why aren't they calling them that? Why isn't the papers, why isn't the press calling Farage out? Why aren't Labour calling him out? Why aren't the Tories calling him out? Or more importantly, why aren't they all ignoring him? He is, after all, an insignificant little man. And where he has had limited success, like in the councils, they have failed miserably. He doesn't bother turning up to fucking the Commons very often. Spends more time in America licking Trump's bahookie from a distance, because Trump doesn't want him anywhere near. Let's move on. Next up, we'll get the Daily Field. And what's the Field tell us? Well, the Field's peddling the pish that lefty lawyers and Labour MPs to torpedo Mahmoud's asylum plans. If only it was true. It's about time we started facing these fuckers down. They should never have got this much attention and power in the first fucking place. But the real reason behind why this guy's been allowed to push culture wars and racism is because the economy's fucked. The state doesn't want the people turning on the state. So the state's got the people turning on each other. Divide and rule. And there's enough knuckle draggers on these islands to fall for it. In England, it's 30% of the population. Here, it's 17%. But let's hope that the lawyers and the Labour MPs do torpedo these changes, because I don't want my right to a family life being redefined by Mahmood, Shabana Mahmood. I don't. Aye, Dylan. Good morning, son. As I say, let's hope they do torpedo it. This is a danger to our human rights, folks. And when you look at the way the right to protest has been quashed down that road, no real. Next up, we have the Times. What's the Times got for us this morning? Well, it's on the same story and all. But we'll get to the main headline in a minute, because the headline at the top there is actually the one, or sorry, the byline at the top is one that actually applies to Scotland. So I guess that allows the Times to keep the word Scotland in the fucking title name. But it says, rape victims' privacy will be protected in trials, says Law Chief. And this is a Lady Dorothy Bain has had to assure victims of sexual crime that their privacy will be protected after the Supreme Court had its doubts whether the judges should decide what's seen in court and what's behind closed doors. Apparently the Crown Office wants to make that decision, no the sitting judge. Going by what this fucking rag's talking about. And First State faces visa ban and migrant return push. Now, remember I said this is going to kill the tourist industry, which is already failing in England. That will call it a stone deed. So you've got an African state that doesn't want a citizen back, blanket ban on that state's citizens from getting a tourist visa. Now, there might only be 1,000 or 2 people a year come, but for every state that gets that visa plan, that's a couple of thousand tourists less. Or and up to tens of thousands of tourists less, depending on the state. And then, of course, let's look at industry. So you put a visa ban in place in one of these countries, and it's running an operation here as well, or it's in partnership with an operation here as well. How do they have exchanges? How does a gaffer in the factory in Africa go to the headquarters in London? Blanket visa ban. These people are the stick as fuck. The economy's already failing down that road. It's dragging us way up. And they want to start banning people for coming here. For business or for pleasure. Just because the government of the day wouldn't take back one asylum seeker. Thick as fuck. This stuff's concerning, folks. It really is concerning. Right, next up we'll get metal. You're right, England is fucked. I'm sorry to say it. They don't even have the right to protest anymore. Cruel to be kind, folks. Apparently that's what these changes are. Cruel to be kind. So we have to be cruel to people. We have to lose our compassion. We have to stop caring. Because according to a very, very small percentage of the population and the media, people arriving these shores with fuck all but broken souls and broken lives are to blame for the state of our public services and for the breakdown of our society. My arse are they? A few thousand people arriving each year in small boats Haven't they broke your system? That's years of fucking people voting for the wrong people and allowing the wrong people to weasel their way into positions of power via the political party system. Like that Wazzock that's in number 10 now, who lied and cheated his way to the top of the Labour Party and now is residing in number 10, just as big a liar as Boris Johnson. At least with Bojo, we knew he was a liar before he hit number 10. This guy that's there now, he deceived to get to where he is. So, mere immigration nonsense there. Apparently we have to lose our compassion and we have to blame the broken souls that wash up on our shores for all our woes. Apparently. What is wrong with these fucking people? What is wrong with people? And who's stupid enough to believe that 50,000 people arriving here in small boats a year are responsible for all our fucking woes? Who is stupid enough to actually believe that? Oh, sorry, there's 30% of them in England and 17% of them here in Scotland, according to opinion polls. How did we get to the point where 17% of the Scottish population and 30% of the English population were so fucking stupid? How did we get there? Well, I can understand that in England they've been dumbing down for years, since 1997, and the introduction of tuition fees. But here, we stopped that nonsense in 2006. How can we have so many stupid fucking people? There you go, folks. Cruelty be kind. We've to kick the least of us. We've to hurt these broken souls that arrive on our shores seeking sanctuary. How did we get there? How did we get here? Well, we didn't get here. We didn't vote for these fucking people. Need to prioritise independence to fight for us. First word out every indie MSP and MP's mouth, independence. Only solution for now. Only solution, very true. But as I say, how did we get here? Where we've got a press pack and politicians encouraging us to punch down on the broken souls who wash up on our shores. How did we get here? There's times when I fucking despair. And I mean that. They're losing their humanity. They're losing their humanity. We've witnessed what happens to people when they lose their humanity. Look what the Israeli regime's doing to the Palestinians. That's what happens when you lose your humanity. The Telegraph has. Take back migrants or face visa ban. Let me rewrite that headline. Mahmood fucks economy. Reeves stands no chance. That's what that says. Mahmood fucks economy. Reeves stands no chance. Blanket ban whole countries for coming. Whole countries' citizens for coming here because they don't want back one person. Shut down the tourist industry. Why don't you, Shabana Mahmood? Rachel, what you got to say about this? This is undermining an already fucked economy in England. You could not make it up. Thanks, Reagan Week. What did happen to looking out for each other? As I say, there's a lot of people on these islands who are losing their humanity. When the press and the politicians are encouraging the punching down on the broken souls that wash up on our shores. It's quite difficult to. It's very difficult. Next up, we've got the Herald. You know, there's mornings when you wake up and you do feel like putting your head in a bucket of sand to hide for it. Electric gaslit by Miliband, says unions. We're back on this nuclear nonsense. Anyway, what this says is that where they're no investing in renewables, but simultaneously they're shutting down the oil and gas sector. So apparently jobs are being lost in the oil and gas sector while they're not being created in the renewable sector. That's because we told you the renewable sector doesn't produce a lot of long-term high-quality jobs. If you take a 16 or 18 turbine wind farm, you're talking about 9 people after the construction stage. Maximum of 9 people. But do we have to transition away from fossil fuels? Yes. Yes, we do. And those in the fossil fuel industry that are sponsoring Farage, because he's bang out against the transition to renewables. Well, so he says, he's not really. But he'll take any fucker's money. And he is using Trump's playbook. Apparently offshore wind turbines upset the whales. Well, they've not been out there long enough for us to know that for a fact. But there will be studies on it. There will be. So, this fucking rags on about nuclear. So it is. Next up, we've got the Rancid. What does the Rancid tell us? It's a SNP bad story. And it's Rancid has launched a campaign. Family slams broken promises. We're still failing our kids. Women who lost brother and son to suicide backs the Records campaign to blame the Scottish Government for somebody deciding that they've had enough of this life. Apparently we need thought police, and we've got to have a government overseer standing over every person to ensure they don't top themselves. I don't know. Tell you what, Daily Record, why don't you tell us what it is you want us to do to stop some poor unfortunate soul in their bedroom, in their bathroom, in their prison cell, in the street, jumping off cliffs? How do we find them? How do we stop them? Thank you very much. Thank you, Rosalind. What is it they want the government to do? We're not in a position to create a better environment. That's reserved. When it comes to living standards, at least. Although our living standards are a fair bit better next door, but they are going down the tubes just as quick. Because We're still tied at the hip. So as it drowns, it's slowly pulling us underweight. But what exactly is it the record wants the government to do? How do we oversee 5.4 million people to ensure that somebody in their darkest moment, in their darkest room, or even just because they find life unbearable, whatever the circumstances are, decides that they've had enough? How do we stop it? Daily Record. What is this campaign against the Scottish Government? What's it about, Record? How is it that we stop this from happening? Because if we fucking knew, it wouldn't be happening. If it was possible to police the thoughts of people so that we could catch them before they do what they think's right for them, tell us how to do it, Record. Suicides touch most of our lives, whether it be somebody we know, a family member. How do we stop it? And if the family members don't recognise that these people are at that point, how the fuck is somebody that doesn't know them in a parliament in Edinburgh going to recognise it? This is nonsense. But it is an attack on the Scottish Government. Apparently the Scottish Government's to blame for a couple of young people in their lowest moments, or for whatever reason, deciding that they'd had enough. It's a very difficult thing. I've got friends, I've got family members who've lost loved ones too from taking their own life. It's no funny, but having this shite in the press doesn't help these people. It prolongs their agony. It prolongs their grief. Shouting at a brick wall because there's nothing the government can do. Just nothing. The stats go up and down, but it's always been there. Always. And there's never been anything anybody's been able to do about it. Ever. In history. So if the family members haven't been able to do anything about it and haven't recognised it's about to happen, how the fuck's the government? And as I say, it's touched us. It's probably touched everybody here. Probably every family, every person watching this. At some point, somewhere along the line. But we're not blaming the government. That would be bloody pointless. But apparently the Daily Record blames the government and it's starting a campaign to make the government sort it out. This ought to be fucking... You know what, keyboard warriors? You know what to do. dailyrecord.com. Ask them what the solution is. Ask them what it is the government should do. And tell them, stop prolonging people's fucking agony. Yep, Sunday cuddles. Tragedy and misery sells papers. Right, next up we've got the scum. There was a scum goat for us this morning. Maddie suspect camp. We find Bruckner's new lair in Woodlands. Lawyers vow to fight on if fiend flees Germany. Let me rewrite that headline. Newspaper pursues innocent man down in his luck, living in a tent in Germany. Whatever this guy did in the past, he's never been charged with any connection to anything to do with Madeleine McCann. But because he is passed, the German authorities looked into it because he was in Portugal at the time. And they came to the conclusion that the man Had they done nothing, there was no evidence to suggest the man had been involved. But yet here we have the scum Murdoch rag. By the way, the image in the front here, it shows you a tent and a bit of woodland where this guy Bruckner is living, Christian Bruckner. And here we have the scum newspaper tracking him down. Now, does he have an ordinary home to go to? Is he hiding for the scum newspaper in the woods? But I have checked. I looked into it this morning because something didn't seem right with me. So why are they chasing this guy? If I remember correctly, I read a news article in the Spiegel, German newspaper, that said that he was being released without charge. That there was no evidence to tie him to Marilyn McCann's disappearance. And yet here it is, front page in the scum. Don't know what this is about. I really don't. But if I was this guy, I'd be suing them. But it looks as if he's not got a pot to piss on, so he can't sue anybody. He's living in a tent in the woods. And flee Germany. He's not got a pot to piss on, he's living in a tent in the woods. Where's he going to flee to? We're talking about a guy with no pot to piss on. He's living in a tent in the woods. Right, next up we've got Looney Rag the Express. Or it should be. No, so I'll just need to tell you what's in it. Outrage as it's revealed SNP government failed to close dangerous loophole. Sex offenders still free to change gender. And I'm like, what? Wow, that's fucking out there this morning. And I mean out there this morning. So it is. That is way out there this morning. You know, what is, once again, we're on thought police. So, sex offender, you can't change gender. Joe, you can't identify as Josephine. Aye, that really works. Doesn't it? As if that's going to stop Joe from putting a dress on, some makeup on and calling myself Josephine. Oh, I just thought I'd go and fish this one out, actually. Well, let's put it up. I mean, that's as mad as the last. That's as mad as the fucking Daily Record. So, you've committed a sexual offence. Government says, by the way, Joe, you can't be Josephine. Joe puts a wig and a dress on and calls himself Josephine. What's the government going to fucking do about it? Nothing. Just keep putting mail in the paperwork. That's it. The police, the chief of police here, Joe Powell, has made it clear. We spoke about it last week. She was in the petitions committee. They record sex offenders as the sex that they were born with. End of story. And then after that, they will treat the people how they wish to be treated and do it with compassion. Where is this fucking nonsense? Wow, you get days when you see something in the papers and you go, really? Next up. Really. Next up's the National, folks. And this goes on the Constitutional Committee meeting. And it tells us that Swinney's Indy strategy has merit. We know that. There has been a precedent set. The question is whether Westminster would respect that precedent or not. Fairies at the bottom of the garden or a credible Reeves budget? Neither. And apparently this tap one. You know, apparently according to the tap one there, Corbyn backs claims that your party could offer best chance of independence. No, fucking won't. You're being fooled, you muppets. Corbyn, like any other UK Prime Minister, would just say no, England can't afford it. England doesn't generate enough power. England can't feed itself. England has very little in the way of oil and gas. There is no way that voting that particular person, Mr. Corbyn, would be any different. No way. But I can see what they're doing. They're trying to put in a credible split in the vote to prevent an SNP majority or a yes majority. You can see that. That's what they're doing. There is absolutely no chance that another English registered political party is going to win an election in Scotland and demand independence and get any other reply than what we're getting at the moment. The notion that Mr. Corbyn and your party would just say to the SNP and the Scottish people, "I have your referendum," is nonsense. Apart from that, I don't even know if this guy will be around for the election. Because as far as we can see, he can't organise a piss up in a brewery. Your party isn't even off the ground. They can't even organise a conference. They're fighting our money that doesn't belong to them. Haven't they got a policy, as far as I know, for each other, our immigration and gender? Chaos is what they're introducing. There's a reason the press are ignoring them. They're not credible at this point in time. Check backwards in 30 years, Jeremy. That's what I tell the Alpha Party. Maybe you should have registered a limited company. Mental. But if anybody thinks for a minute that Jeremy Corbyn and his English registered party is going to give Scotland independence, they've got their fucking head zipped up the back. And I mean that. You remember in 1979, it was the Labour Party that slipped in the 40% clause. Labour are no friends to pro-independence supporters. None. This man was part of the crew at the time. A fledgling member. Right, let's move on. The eye has. I had to go to England for this one today. Wasn't in the Scottish Review. And you can see why. Asylum seekers face 20-year wait to settle in UK as new protests held at migrant site. At least that's using correct terminology. Asylum seeker rather than a legal immigrant. And migrant site, that's a wee bit better. Should of course be processing centres, but they're not. But why wasn't this one in the Scottish News Review this morning? We've got an awful lot of asylum seekers here in the west of Scotland. In fact, proportionally, we've taken more than most cities. Much more. And I guess the Scottish headline reviews this morning didn't want to upset these people too much. Although how they were going to avoid it, I don't know. But I guess the eye is just a wee bit clearer than the others with a wee bits of cryptic information here and there. But as I say, this will be interesting. Need to have a look and see what time she's getting up to speak and see whether we're going to be able to watch a wee bit before we come on this afternoon. But To say, folks, this is frightening stuff. They're talking about messing about with human rights here. And we're talking about the Labour Party right now, redefining the right to family life, to allow them to kick people out. And Canada's opened a consulate in Greenland, have they? Well done, Canada. Anyway, so there's some pretty scary stuff. But what's worse is the amount of the populace who are being convinced to punch down on the least of us. These poor broken souls that wash up in our shores. So fled war, famine, persecution, come here seeking asylum and get smacked. Where's the fucking compassion? What happened to compassion? There's only 50,000 of them a year. There's fuck all. And the real reason why there's housing shortages, problems with the public services, nothing to do with these people. It's got to do with the fact that successive governments have spent taxpayers' money subsidising big business as opposed to investing in public services. What do I mean by subsidising big business? Well, we spoke about the introduction of the minimum wage, suppressing wages. And we talked about the responsibility to make sure the poor had enough being transferred from the employer to the middle income earner through the tax credit system. Now, a lot of people have had the tax credits as they went through the last 30 years without actually realising that it was a heist. The reason why that top 6% get richer and richer and richer, because they were keeping more and more of the profits, because the government and the wage boards were deciding how much the minimum wage went up by, rather than inflation. Biggest heist in history. The transfer, and we talk about wealth inequality. Well, it accelerated from that point onwards, because we, the taxpayer, were subsidising those other taxpayers who earn less than us. What a wheeze that was. What a wheeze. And it was all done by the Labour Party. Right, let's get it started up, because young Reagan Elite's got his show coming up next, folks. So tune into it. You'll get the news from a different perspective. It's always good to get news from many perspectives. Join our bid to crown Daily Star legend, Queen of the Jungle. Our Kelly needs you. Who the fuck's Our Kelly? So apparently the Daily Star wants you to spend whatever the price of phoning in a vote in this thing is, plus your standard network charge, to get this person to win a TV programme. Ah, well, I suppose it is just a comic after all. And apparently Rayner's plotting to take Starmer's job, according to the Star. All right. It's a bad start to the week, folks. A bad start to the week. Shabina Mahmood is about to storm in the comments and tell us how they're going to redefine family life so that they can kick asylum seekers out. But remember, when they start tampering with human rights apply to everybody. They start tampering with human rights. What they do to asylum seekers, they can do to you. You need to pay me for a shameless plug, Sir Larry, the idiot. Yeah, shameless plug for episode 1 of the Sunday Cuddles. Loved it. It was brilliant. And Sir Larry, I've dropped my email address in the live comments in there. So if you watch the tail end of it back and have the comments up, you'll be able to freeze it at the point where my email address is. All right. hit me up. I'll send you my phone number. We'll have a chat. Alternatively, Sir Larry, you can join the after show chat tonight on Discord in Mad Monk server. No, I can't find you in Discord. I've tried putting that link in you gave me and everything. It's just no finding you. So, Mad Monk server, if you know how to navigate Discord better than me, then 10 o'clock tonight we'll be in the post-show chat. All right, because I know you were asking about it. So, Larry, but failing that, hit me up with an email. And folks, if you haven't seen the Sunday Cuddles, it was brilliant. I was pissing myself laughing. Well done, Sir Larry. When it comes to roasting YouTubers, you do it right. You do it right. A lot of humour in it as well. And they're all YouTubers we know and we can get a giggle at it without any malice. You know, so it's expertly done, Sir Larry. And I say you're welcome to roast me anytime. Right, folks, that's it. Be back this afternoon with the other David to talk about other things that went on our weekend. And the tail end of last week, but as I say, this is serious, folks. They're starting to play with your human rights. And remember, when they piss about with human rights, then the person they say they're going to just apply it to, that small section of society they say they're going to apply it to, bet your boots if they need to, they'll apply it to you too. Because once they've changed the law, the law's not going to specify they can only do that to certain people. That won't be that specific. It'll be a broad stroke change to the law. And it'll be your right to a family life they'll be redefining as well. See you this afternoon, 4 p.m. Don't be late. Be on the naughty step. Bye for now.